Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling completely drained? Like someone stole your energy without saying a word? As we age, emotional exhaustion isn't just frustrating. It can quietly impact our health, our mood, and even how long we live. In this video, we'll reveal 4 toxic relationship patterns that often go unnoticed but slowly wear seniors down, and 5 powerful ways to finally set boundaries that bring peace back into your life. Have you ever felt emotionally tired after spending time with someone? Share your story in the comments. We're listening.
Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling completely drained, even though nothing dramatic was said? Like your chest feels heavier, your thoughts slower, and your whole mood just lower than before? It's not your imagination. As we age, our emotional energy becomes more precious, and certain relationships, even ones we've had for years, can slowly chip away at that energy without us realizing it. Maybe it's a friend who always talks over you, or a sibling who never calls unless they need something. Or perhaps it's someone you love deeply, but every time you're around them, you feel small, less, not quite good enough. These aren't just bad habits, they're toxic relationship patterns. And for seniors, they can be especially damaging. Why? Because after 60, your time, your peace, and your well-being aren't just valuable, they're sacred. In this video, we're going to talk about 4 common but subtle relationship patterns that quietly drain older adults, and more importantly, 5 ways you can set healthy boundaries that protect your heart, your time, and your sense of self. Let's begin with something that many people overlook, but almost everyone has felt at some point: being constantly guilt-tripped. Have you noticed how some people make you feel guilty for simply saying no? You cancel a lunch plan because you're tired, and they respond with, "Oh, okay, I guess I'll just sit here alone." Or you don't pick up the phone right away and hear, "I guess you're too busy for me now." It's subtle, but powerful. Over time, this kind of emotional manipulation can make you feel like you're constantly letting others down, even when you're doing your best. And when you're older, dealing with health issues, fatigue, or the natural changes in energy levels, that added emotional weight becomes too much. The truth is, guilt-tripping is a way people try to control your behavior without appearing aggressive. And if you grew up in a time where being polite meant always saying yes, it can feel almost impossible to push back. But here's something I want you to remember. Saying no is not selfish, it's healthy. It means you're honoring your limits, and those who truly love you will respect that. Now, here's the second pattern, and this one cuts deep. It's when people constantly dismiss or belittle your feelings. You say you're lonely, and they laugh it off. You share a concern, and they roll their eyes or say, "You're just being sensitive." Sometimes they call it teasing. Sometimes they say they're just being honest. But no matter what they call it, the effect is the same. You start questioning your own emotions. You start holding back. You stop expressing how you really feel because somewhere along the line you were taught that your feelings were too much or not enough. And when this happens over and over, it doesn't just hurt your feelings, it erodes your confidence. It chips away at your identity. One of the greatest needs we have as human beings, especially in later life, is to feel seen, to be heard. And if someone in your life constantly invalidates your voice, that's not love, that's control. You don't need to raise your voice or argue. A simple, calm statement like, "That's not okay with me," or "I'm not going to keep having this conversation if I'm not being respected," is more powerful than you might think. Now, let's talk about something trickier, something many seniors struggle with quietly: feeling like they have to earn someone's affection or presence. Maybe it's an adult child who only visits when you offer money, or a friend who pulls away when you stop doing favors. There's a sinking feeling that if you stop giving, you'll stop being valued. It can be heartbreaking. But here's the hard truth. Love should never be conditional. Your worth is not measured by what you can give or do or fix. You've already given your time. You've raised families, built careers, supported others. If someone only shows up when there's something in it for them, that's not love. That's a transaction. And you deserve more than that. Setting boundaries with people like this doesn't mean you have to cut them off. It means you get to choose how much access they have to your time, your energy, and your heart. A good boundary might sound like, I love seeing you, but I can't keep lending money. Or, I enjoy our time together, but I'd like it to be about connection, not errands. It might feel uncomfortable at first. You might worry about rocking the boat. But remember this, peace is often on the other side of discomfort. And boundaries are not walls, they're doors. They help you decide who gets to walk in and who needs to stay on the other side. You've lived too much life, felt too much pain, and given too much love to spend your later years feeling used, dismissed, or emotionally exhausted. You still have so much joy to give, but it starts with protecting your own light. Because when you stop pouring into people who poke holes in your cup, you'll finally have the energy to nurture the relationships that truly fill you up. And those relationships, they still exist. They may be waiting for you to create space for them by letting go of the ones that no longer serve you. Let's keep going.
And now, let's talk about a pattern that's harder to spot. Because on the surface, it looks like kindness. Like someone being helpful. But underneath, it's control wrapped in concern. It's when someone constantly tries to make decisions for you, tells you what's best for you, talks over you, or insists you can't handle certain things anymore without even asking what you think or how you feel. They may mean well, they may even be family, but here's the thing. When your opinions, your voice, your independence are quietly brushed aside, it sends a message. You don't get to decide for yourself anymore. And that message, it chips away at your dignity. This kind of behavior often shows up when adult children become overly involved in a parent's life. They step in to help, but instead of asking how they can support you, they start deciding for you what you should eat, where you should live, who you should spend time with. And while some support is necessary and beautiful, especially when health or safety is involved, it's crucial that the line between care and control stays clear. Because no matter your age, you still have the right to say, "This is my life. Let me be part of the decisions that affect me." It might sound like, "I appreciate your concern, but I'd like to choose how I spend my time." Or, "Thank you for helping, but I want us to make decisions together, not just you deciding for me." This isn't just about control. It's about honoring your identity. Because once your voice is silenced in one area, it becomes easier for others to speak over you in all the others. And sometimes, the most toxic pattern of all isn't what someone does, but what they don't do. They stop calling, stop showing up. They withdraw emotionally and leave you wondering what you did wrong. You reach out, you check in, you try to keep the connection alive, but it feels one-sided, like you're the only one rowing the boat. And over time, that silence becomes louder than any argument. It whispers things like, "You're not worth their time. You're easy to forget. You've been replaced." But none of that is true. People pull away for many reasons: their own struggles, their busyness, their limitations. But here's what you need to remember. Someone else's inability to love you well does not make you unlovable. It's okay to grieve the relationships that changed, to miss the calls that don't come. But don't let their absence define your worth. Instead, turn inward And ask yourself, where am I still showing up for others, but not for myself? Maybe it's time to write that poem you shelved for decades. Maybe it's joining that group at the community center. Maybe it's just taking a walk alone without waiting for anyone to join you. Because reclaiming your time, your energy, your attention, it's not selfish, it's sacred. Now, let's talk about what you can do when you recognize one or all of these patterns in your life. The first step is awareness. And if you've made it this far, you've already done the hardest part, seeing the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. The next step is choosing one small boundary to practice. Maybe it's answering the phone only when you have the energy to talk. Maybe it's saying no without explaining yourself. Maybe it's speaking up the next time someone talks over you. Start small. Speak kindly but firmly, and watch how the energy around you begins to shift. Because boundaries don't just protect your peace, they teach others how to treat you. And they remind you every time you honor them that your needs matter too. If you've spent a lifetime being the caretaker, the peacemaker, the one who gives and gives, it might feel foreign to put yourself first. But this chapter of your life, it belongs to you. Not your past, not their expectations, not guilt, not obligation. You get to choose what stays and what you lovingly let go. So take a breath, place your hand on your heart, and remind yourself, I deserve relationships that feel safe, that feel equal, that feel kind. The kind of love that doesn't just take, but gives back. The kind that listens, supports, and uplifts. That kind of love begins with how you treat yourself. And as you set those boundaries, as you reclaim your time, your space, your voice, you might be surprised at what starts to grow in the silence that follows. Joy, freedom, and a deep, quiet peace. Let's keep going.
That peace, it's not loud. It doesn't shout or demand attention. It simply arrives, quietly, like sunlight through the curtains. And with it comes clarity, the kind that helps you see what relationships are nourishing you and which ones are quietly draining your light. Here's something many seniors forget, especially after decades of caring for others. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to you. Not your time, not your emotions, not your energy. And you're not responsible for fixing everyone's hurt feelings when you finally decide to draw the line. That can be hard, especially if you've always been the dependable one, the one who's always there, the one who sacrifices for peace. But what if peace doesn't come from keeping others happy? What if it comes from keeping yourself whole? Setting boundaries is not about shutting people out. It's about inviting in respect. It's about saying, this is where I end and where you begin. And understanding that the people who truly care about you will not be pushed away by your honesty. They'll be drawn closer by your truth. Let's talk about how to set those boundaries in real life, because it's one thing to understand them and another to actually practice them, especially with people you've known for years. Start with your inner circle. Think of the relationships that make you feel drained, anxious, or small. Not once or twice, but consistently. Now think of one small, clear statement you can make, something that protects your peace but keeps the door open for connection. It might sound like, I'm not available to talk about that topic anymore. Or, I need some time to rest. I'll call you when I'm up for a chat. Or even, I'm choosing to spend less time around conversations that leave me feeling hurt. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be clear. And here's something powerful. When you start setting boundaries, you may feel guilty at first. That's normal. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you're doing something new. You're unlearning the idea that you must always be agreeable, that saying no is rude, that your comfort should come last. But the truth is, every time you honor your own needs, you're not only protecting your present, you're rewriting your future. Because imagine this. Imagine waking up and feeling light, not because your body is perfect or your calendar is full, but because your mind is finally quiet. Because you're no longer rehearsing conversations in your head, no longer bending over backwards to avoid disappointing someone, no longer questioning whether you're too sensitive or too much. That kind of freedom comes from boundaries. That kind of peace comes from choosing yourself. And here's a secret no one talks about. When you begin treating yourself with more care, the world responds. You begin attracting relationships that match your new energy, ones where you're not just heard, but understood, not just seen, but valued. You create space for joy, for laughter, for new beginnings that aren't rooted in old pain. You may even reconnect with parts of yourself that you thought were gone forever. Your curiosity, your sense of adventure, your voice. That spark inside of you, it never left. It's just been buried under years of people-pleasing, overgiving, and swallowing your truth. Now's the time to let it rise again. Because there is no age limit on transformation, on growth, on choosing peace over pressure, love over guilt, and wholeness over silence. You don't have to make all the changes overnight. Start small. One moment, one conversation, one boundary at a time. And celebrate each one. Because every time you say, "I matter too," you're not just protecting yourself. You're modeling for others what it means to age with grace, with strength, with self-respect. And that is a beautiful legacy. So wherever you are in your journey, whether you're just beginning to see these patterns or you've been quietly enduring them for years, I want you to know something. It is never too late to choose yourself, to protect your peace, to surround yourself with the kind of love that gives back, to create a life that doesn't just look calm on the outside, but truly feels calm on the inside. You've earned that. You deserve that. And you're strong enough to claim it. Let's keep going.
And as we continue, I want you to pause for a moment. Really pause. And ask yourself, not as a parent or a partner or a caregiver, but just as you. When was the last time I felt deeply respected? Not just listened to, but truly valued. Not just tolerated, but celebrated for who I am, not what I do for others. If that question brings a long silence, it's okay. It's not your fault. Many of us, especially after retirement, after raising families, after giving the best parts of ourselves away for years, we start to feel like we're fading into the background, like we've become invisible. But here's something I want you to hear clearly. You are not invisible. You are not too old. You are not too late to rewrite the way you are treated and the way you treat yourself. One of the most beautiful parts of aging is wisdom, not just the kind that comes from books, but the kind that comes from living, from hurting, from loving, from surviving. And with that wisdom comes the ability to see things more clearly, to finally recognize when something or someone is stealing your peace instead of supporting your growth. So how do you begin to surround yourself with relationships that nourish you instead of drain you? You begin by showing up as your full self. You speak with honesty, even when your voice shakes. You express your needs, even if they've been ignored in the past. You allow yourself to take up space, not just in the room, but in your relationships. That might mean making new friends. Friends who see you as you are now, not just who you used to be. Friends who value depth over small talk, who show up when it matters, who make you feel lighter, not heavier, after every conversation. These relationships may take time to grow, but the more you honor your boundaries, the more they begin to appear. Because like attracts like. And as you let go of the toxic patterns that once drained you, you create space for something far more precious: authentic connection. The kind that doesn't leave you guessing. The kind that doesn't twist your words. The kind that feels like coming home. But none of this happens without one essential ingredient: self-trust. You have to believe your feelings are valid. You have to believe that your needs matter. You have to believe that your boundaries are worth protecting. And that belief doesn't come from someone else's approval, it comes from within. You build it every time you say, "This doesn't feel right." Every time you say, "I'm not going to accept that tone." Every time you choose to walk away from a conversation that feels like poison in disguise. You build it when you stop apologizing for protecting your peace. Because that peace, it's not negotiable anymore. You've earned the right to live a life that feels good to you, not just one that looks good to others. And if you've spent years in patterns that robbed you of joy, of clarity, of your voice, it's okay to grieve. Grieve the time lost, the energy wasted, the love poured into people who didn't pour it back. But don't stay in that grief. Use it as fuel to do something different, to become someone different, someone who doesn't just survive, but finally, joyfully lives. Because life after 60 is not the end of your story. It's a powerful new chapter. And in this chapter, you get to be the author. You get to decide who stays in your life and who no longer gets to sit at your table. You get to define love in a way that uplifts you. You get to build boundaries not as walls to keep people out, but as bridges that only the right people are allowed to cross. And when you do, you'll look around one day and realize that your world feels lighter. Your heart feels safer. And your life, maybe for the first time in a long time, feels truly your own. That's the gift of boundaries. That's the power of self-respect. And that is the beginning of everything beautiful. So now, take a breath. Let all of that settle in. Because this isn't just about relationships. It's about reclaiming a part of yourself that may have been buried under years of being the strong one, the quiet one, the helper, or simply the one who never complains. But you're not here to live for everyone else. You're here to live for you, too. Think about this. When was the last time you said yes to yourself without guilt, without second-guessing, without apologizing? A walk alone because it made you happy. Turning off your phone because you needed quiet. Saying no to an invitation because rest was more important than being polite. These small choices, these moments of listening to your own needs are what self-respect looks like in action. And when you practice them consistently, something amazing happens. The people who truly love you will begin to adjust. They'll respect your boundaries. They'll meet you where you are, not where they want you to be. And if they can't, that's their choice. Your choice is to stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. Because your joy, it matters. Your energy, it matters. Your peace of mind, it matters more now than ever. Especially as we age, the relationships we keep close should be those that make us feel alive, not obligated, safe, not silenced, seen, not just tolerated, but truly appreciated. And if you spent years feeling like you don't quite fit, like your worth depends on what you give, like your presence is always optional, I want you to know you are enough. Not because of what you do, not because of what you give, but simply because you are. The right people will see that. And the wrong people, you don't need to convince them. You don't need to explain your heart to someone committed to misunderstanding it. You don't need to overextend yourself to earn love that should be freely given. Let them go. Let the guilt go. Let the fear go. And in that space, let you in. Let your voice grow louder. Let your choices reflect your truth. Let your boundaries shape a life that finally feels safe, peaceful, and joyful on your terms. And know this, it's never too late to begin again. You can wake up tomorrow, look at your phone, and decide not to answer that call that always leaves you tense. You can sit at the dinner table and gently say, I'd rather not talk about that. You can walk out of a room that makes you feel invisible and walk in to your own power. This isn't selfish. This is soul care. This is dignity. This is the fierce, quiet strength of someone who has finally learned to love themselves as deeply as they've loved everyone else. And the beautiful thing is, once you step into this new way of being, everything around you starts to change. The relationships that stay will be stronger, healthier, more rooted in mutual respect. You'll have more energy, not less, more calm, not chaos, more space to breathe. And you'll find that you're no longer waiting for others to fill your cup because you've learned how to keep it full. That's what healthy boundaries give you. That's what healing toxic patterns makes possible. And that's the life you are stepping into now, not tomorrow, not next week, now. So stand tall, speak clearly, live fully. You're not too old to be heard. You're not too late to change. And you are definitely not too far gone to create the peace and love you've always deserved. This is your moment. And I'm proud of you for taking it.
If this message touched something deep inside you, if it helped you recognize a pattern or gave you the strength to draw a boundary, you're not alone. You are part of a community that believes in healing, in growth, and in living with dignity at every age. You deserve relationships that feel safe, loving, and true. And the moment you begin honoring your own peace, everything begins to shift. So if you found value in today's story, take a moment to like this video. Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. We read every one. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Health World 365, where we share gentle, empowering content just like this, created especially for you. Because your well-being matters, your voice matters, and you still have so much life left to live, on your terms. Thank you for being here. Until next time, take care of your heart and keep choosing peace.